Before we get started, anyone interested in ordering Mr. Lindell's 4-CD set, go to metaphysicalarttheater.com. For those in the U.S., you can order physical copies or the digital downloads. For those outside the U.S., you can order the digital downloads by going to metaphysicalarttheater.com.
How you doing, sir?
Just fine. How are you?
I'm doing great.
Go ahead.
Today we're going to be talking about thinking only, and the reason why this came up, somebody in the on the YouTube channel had inquired. They said, "Listen, I've read through this scripture, and I can go through the scripture. It says, brethren, think." This is the King James version. It says, "Finally, brethren, whatsoever things are true, whatsoever things are honest, whatsoever things are just, whatsoever things are pure, lovely, of a good report, and if there's any other virtue that be praiseworthy, think on these things." So he says, but he could not find think only. And I told him that think only is at the exclusion of everything that's contrary to what Paul said think previously. And you said something when we were talking off the recording. So I want you to go into, when we talk about thinking only, where did you get your information from?
It was think only because if you think anything else, you're going to be experiencing the anything else. Because remember, whatsoever was the word given.
Absolutely.
So, but well, you have a choice. The idea is think only on things lovely and of good report, and as you think you are, and that's what everyone's looking for. And hey, what you're looking for is looking for you. So you want to be careful what you are imagining, because it all gets mixed in the play of humanity, doesn't it?
It does. It does. You said something, and I also heard it from Neville, and I've also had personal experience. When we were talking, off the recording, you said, when I get this is divine revelation. This is not me just looking at secular history, but it's been given to me by divine revelation. And this is so true. When I start delving into scripture and there's something that I don't know, I begin praying for revelation, understanding. And I'm given something that's not written on the page, but it's confirmed through lifestyle. So you said this being divine revelation.
Yes, absolutely. And it happens to everybody at some point. You see, because there's nothing transforming in death. So you're eventually going to get it.
Yeah.
But what are you waiting for? See, that's a catch. I waited and I was waiting and I don't know what I was waiting for. I really, if someone would have asked me what I was waiting for, I don't know. I wouldn't really known what to tell them.
Yeah.
But I was waiting nonetheless. And so is everybody else doing that most of the time. Waiting for what? Because you're going to change. I mean, there's no heaven if you don't make a change. No, well, at least not for you. Attitude. Your attitude about life in general is what you're performing, all the parts you're playing by your attitudes. So all the wise men down through the ages were right, because they say man is actually his attitudes, and you are. But do you know what your attitudes are? I thought I did until I started doing that self-examination stuff. And then, I got freaked out. I had a lot of bad attitudes, but everybody knows that your bad attitudes, I mean, your attitudes either make you or break you. Mm-hmm. I mean, I'm sure that you've seen enough examples of that happening in your world of experiencing. And if you don't want it to continue happening in your world of experiencing, change your mind, change your world. That's what you were given right at the beginning. Change your mind, change your world. And you can do so because you have been doing so all along. You change your mind daily. I mean, you change what you're every time you get a little new piece of information, it changes everything, doesn't it?
It does. It does. You talked about attitude, and even with attitude, we can have one attitude with one person, but let us get around somebody that we like, then our attitude changes. So for the person that says, I can't change my attitude, that's not so. When we're trying to impress someone, even for a short period of time, reflect to them, we show to them a different attitude.
Yeah. If you consider what has your attention has your life. How long? How long does it have your attention? And now that's the way you judge your thinking feelingly. You judge that the same way, because as you think feelingly, you are, you do, you have, you be. So if you want change, all you have to do is just change your conversations with yourself, because you're always suggesting stuff to yourself. And it's done so naturally, you don't even realize you're doing so. But that's what we're trying to get the point across. The more aware you are, the better off you are in every department of your life, wouldn't you say?
I would say, somebody asked the question, they said, what does it mean that we're always thinking ahead of our evidence? So I'll let you explain.
Yeah. Well, you don't do anything until you think it first. See, I mean, if I just I just waved my hand. Well, there was a thought before that, and that, you see, the thing of it is that you have to learn to catch yourself, because you're actually setting yourself up or setting yourself free with every conversation you have with yourself. that's kind of black and white there, isn't it?
It is. It is.
I mean, there's no getting around it. And the reason I could say that is because that's what I tried to do first when I heard it, because it was so outlandish what I heard, that imagining creates reality. And but trying to prove it, I proved it. And that, and if you have a passion to do something, do it. Do a thing, and you shall have the power, not a power, the power. And that's what you are operating. And if you're saying you want help, well, then just turn to the help. It's nearer than hands and feet. Nearer than hands and feet. Really, it really is. But you have to focus on it. See, what you're focused on has your life. So if you're focused on why things operate the way they are, the way they do, it's because as you think you are. It's as simple as that. So if you watch your thinking and feeling, you see, that's emotion. That's movement out from what you're thinking feelingly isn't falling into the past. It's being projected into your future. And that's what we say. You're always thinking ahead of your evidence. So what are you thinking? That's what you're going to be experiencing. And if you don't want to do it, well, then stop thinking it. Change your mind, change your world. That was God's gift to humanity. Change your mind, change your world. You can do so. As a matter of fact, you do so every day. And if you just start catching yourself, changing your mind, then you ask yourself, where are we going with this? I mean, do we want to do that? See, if you don't want to do that, stop it, chop it right there. Turn around. You turn to me, I'll turn to you, God says. So the ball is always in your court. It's your serve. You turn to me, I'll turn to you. So God's already said yes. As a matter of fact, he's already said yes to everything. He just get with the program. What do you say?
I would say you said something, and I want to go back to it because I know that it's overheard and overlooked. You said change your mind and change your world. Now I'm going to add the word only. And I'm adding only because this is the only way that change takes place.
Yeah.
Change your mind, change your world. If you stay on the same mindset, even if the world is changing around you, you're not going to notice it. because you can't see with those eyes. But when you begin to change your mind and change your world only, because again, this is the only way the change takes place, then you're going to start experiencing that change.
Yeah. Change your mind, change your world. It sounds, people say they want simple, but when you give them simple, it sounds like responsibility. And then they run and hide. Oh, I did a lot of hiding.
Yeah.
And actually, we all do. We all deny ourselves. As a matter of fact, that's what we're told from Scripture, that all denial is self-denial. God's not denying you anything. He said, hey, you receive not because you ask not, or you're asking amiss. Now, that asking amiss, see, that's something you should look at, because I just skid over it over and over for years. But it's like the think only. You can slide over that only, but that's a magic word. It really is.
Yeah.
It's telling you right up front that you're in charge. Take charge. Look, it's your inheritance. You're told it's your inheritance. So you have to show up to claim your inheritance, don't you?
You do.
Well, start showing up. That's all you have to do. Is he says, you turn to me, I'll turn to you. And that's all there is to it. You can do this. I mean, he told you to do it. So if God told you to do it, then give it a shot. I mean, come on. What do you got to lose?
Yeah.
I mean, if you're not making it now, what do you got to lose? Change your mind, change your world. That it's such a, you want it simple, man. There it is, isn't it?
It is. It is. It goes back to our only, and it says, to give some more emphasis on the only, it says that a double-minded person is unstable in all of his ways. So you can't think two opposing thoughts at the same time. So you're either going to think right or left, good, bad, whatever, but you can't hold both of those thoughts at the same time in consciousness, no matter how hard you try. So if you're thinking only of the good, lovely, and what's of a good report, then you're not thinking on its contrary. So again, the double-minded person that sways back and forth between two opinions, God says is unstable, and he says he don't have anything to do with such a person.
No, because I don't know you.
Yeah.
See, and that's the whole point. You don't know you.
Yeah.
See? If you would pay more attention to you than the world around you, you'd be a lot better off. Because you see, it's what you're thinking and feeling is what you're experiencing, not what they're thinking and feeling. Unless you throw in with them, then you'll be doing what they're doing. But you have to understand, we're called one by one. Then Scripture says that, doesn't it?
It does.
That you're called one by one. So you don't need to belong to any group to get there. I know they like to make you think so, but no, it says you're called one by one. So if you're not ready, look out.
Yeah.
But actually, like I said, there's nothing transforming in death. So whatever part you're playing, you'll just keep playing it. You see, because nothing happens until you have a change of mind. Nothing. And you are changing your mind pretty much constantly. And that was the problem. You see, I couldn't hold a point long enough to get the benefits from it. I was always just too anxious or something, but I couldn't really settle myself down to be quiet, to be still. Because if you'll get to that stillness long enough, he'll show you, I'm right here with you. He's telling you, I'm right here with you. You turn to me, I'll turn to you. Why wouldn't you actually feel after what's being said? Because it's your life. I mean, you can change your life. That's what we're telling you. Your say is a valid say. And you're saying your valid say, saying what? Is it what you want more of? Because I hope so, because that's what they do. Subconscious builds your world based upon as you think feelingly. And let me tell you this too, your body listens to everything you're saying. So if you're in a depressed mood, your body will take that depressed mood. Think about this. You're in charge, even if you're out of control. So get in charge. Take charge. That's what you're being told to do. Take charge. In other words, the only thing you really have to do is monitor and direct your own thinking process. That's all you're here to monitor is your own thinking process, because it's as you think you are, right?
Absolutely. You know, and I want to touch on that. You said, say what? You know, and earlier you were saying that the prayer, you said that the asking amiss and so forth. Understand this, the asking, the saying, this goes back to what Mr. Linder just said. It's directing your own self-talk, your own inner conversation. That's the prayer. When you're making request of God, it's the self-talk, it's the belief system, it's the feeling, the emotions, the emoting out from, as Mr. Lindo says. That's your prayer. So whatever your continual dialogue is in here, that's the prayer. And when you change that, then the world without is also going to change. Now, not immediately, because you're still preconditioning to the oncoming drama man, as Mr. Lindo says. But when you begin changing your thoughts little by little, and it becomes a new mindset, your world is going to change.
Yeah. And drastically. Well, look, since you're given, and that's a give, it's not something you're waiting for or being trying to be good for. Choose this day. You are about doing so, aware or unaware. All we're trying to do is to get you to be just a little more aware of what you're doing, and then focus on better than the best yet. And that's all you have to do. Just keep focusing on better than the best yet. And then you're thinking ahead of your evidence. And that's what you're experiencing, that evidence. And you're experiencing, look, if you look at what you are experiencing right now, and just go back a little bit, and you'll find yourself thinking that very thing. You're always thinking ahead of your evidence. So watch it closely. You're either setting yourself free or binding yourself to something that you didn't really want in the first place. But if you don't want it in the first place, then stop thinking about it, because thinking makes it so. Thoughts are things. Look, everything around me here is a thought, somebody's thought in somebody's mind. And here it is. And it's the same with you. You have a thought, you're experiencing it. There it is. Hey, it brings choose this day right down to the hour. Now is the hour of desired change. Change it now or never.
Yeah.
That is true, though, isn't it?
It is. And as you were saying, everything around the individual is thought manifested. We keep thinking that the stuff around us is first cause. It's not first cause. I mean, whether you look at anything in your world, if it's materialized, it was thought. There's no way around it. So whatever you're thinking, as Mr. Lindo continuously says, is going to show up in your world. It's going to be manifested in your world.
Yeah. And you can count on it. See, look, we get what we expect, not necessarily what we want. Because the secret then is thinking from it, not of it. Because thinking of it is a claim you don't got it.
Yeah.
See, if you're thinking from it, that's saying I am that.
Yeah.
And that's the whole story for everybody on this planet. I am that. What What are you thinking? Guess what? It is simple, isn't it?
It's simple.
If we've done nothing else, we brought scripture to them simple.
Yeah.
I mean, they ask for it.
Yeah.
See, they ask for simple. In fact, I don't think I can't remember people not asking, can you simplify it? Yeah, as you think you are. There it is. That's simple. If you think properly, you'll experience that. So you have to go by being patient with yourself. I think that's probably most people's problem. It was certainly mine because it took me years just to be quiet. I mean, literally. I mean, it's really hard. We're so conditioned, we're so mesmerized, so hypnotized to the ongoing drama that it's incessant. It doesn't stop, but you can stop it. But it takes patience, and that's what we're talking about. Is that everybody's problem is just being patient with yourself. Really, that's it. Just learning to be patient with yourself. That alone took me a couple of years. I mean, double-minded, simple-minded, whatever you want to call it, but it just took me years to really actually be. Well, I actually had to start getting benefits noticeably. I mean, you're getting them all the time. You don't really give yourself enough credit for what you do, but you give yourself a lot of condemnation for what you didn't do. And we're told, blessed is the man that does not condemn himself for that which he has allowed. Now, the word has there.
It's there.
Hey, look, when you get these experiences, I'll tell you something. They're really awesome. I mean, they make you cringe at the way you were thinking, at the attitudes that you had that were over nothing. Yeah. I mean, I'm sitting here thinking, I'm saying, well, what was I so upset about that for? Well, what is that? But you do have to actually do that for yourself. You have to pay attention to what you're thinking and feeling, because it says very plainly that as a man thinketh in his heart, so is he. That's your feeling nature. Well, however you feel, but that's true with your physical thing too. You start getting off and getting depressed and all of that. Well, your body goes right down with you.
It does.
It's listening to every word you say. And if you want to be healthy, you have to think healthy, right?
Absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. It's very difficult to stay on track. It's very easy to find them, but you have to stay on it. So you keep getting off track, you see, and what happens when it gets off track? You have disasters.
Yeah.
And you're wondering, well, why me? Why this? But you're told why, because you're thinking so. I mean, if you're experiencing it, then you thought it, because that's how you operate. That's how mine operates. And it doesn't matter what department of your life you're thinking about. It's how you feel while you're in that department of your life. That's exactly what you're going to experience. As within, so without. I mean, if you can get around it, give me a call. I want to hear it. You want to call too, wouldn't you?
Oh, absolutely. They can call me. They can email me. They can shout it from the rooftops. I definitely want to hear it. So, yeah.
Especially if they can get around that.
Yeah.
You're told. See, the fact is that it's told so simply. People want to complicate it so that now it put in its place. Going to happen, or might happen, or will happen. No, it has happened, and you're experiencing it. Wake up.
Yeah.
Arouse thyself, O Lord. Why sleepeth thou? See, you're being told who you are all the time. Like I said, people say, that they want mercy from God. It's God that needs your mercy. Only God suffers, and he's suffering what you're doing. See, because you're not thinking feelingly correctly. Because if a man would order his conversations aright, he would be shown salvation. And that's what everyone's looking for, isn't it? I don't know what you call it, but it's salvation. That's what you're looking for. And you're offered it right there. Do a thing. It doesn't say try. See, I got by with that for a lot of years. Oh, I know that. I know about that. Yeah, that's what I did. I know about it, but I didn't know from it. And that's the difference that makes the difference. Isn't it?
It is. It is. You said something. I want to touch on it briefly. You said if a man, woman would order their conversations aright, they will be shown salvation. And many people, when they hear the word salvation, they're stuck on the religious word or the religious meaning of salvation. But Dr. Joseph Murphy said it to Mr. Lindell, and I've heard it in some of his talks as well. He said, listen, if you're hungry, a hamburger becomes your salvation. So salvation is deliverance from to. So whatever it is that you're looking for, if you're looking for love, then salvation is salvation from loneliness to love. If you're looking for food, then salvation is, from being hungry to going to the restaurant and getting something to eat. Whatever it is that you're looking for, that's salvation. So if a man, woman would order their conversations aright, they will be shown salvation. Salvation is that thing that you're desiring or seeking after.
Yes, and what you're looking for is looking for you. See, that's the wonder. That's why it says, stand still, stand and see the victory. Because it's looking for you, what you're looking for. But you got to be consistent. You got to be persistent. Just like you're consistent and persistent on worrying about things. So if you just switch it over, see, that's what the whole idea of let go and let God is. See? If you can't handle it, he can. And Jesus told you that he of himself, he could do nothing. It was the Father within who did all the work. And if that's true for him, well, why wouldn't it be true for you? He's with you. As a matter of fact, Jesus said, I and my Father are one, even as you and I are one. So it's all one. There's only one. God don't make duplicates. You can go through the forest out there and you can't find two leaves that are exactly the same. They may look alike, but not exactly. And yeah, I know about twins and whatever, but they may dress alike and they may make them look alike, but the thinking is different, and that's the difference that makes a difference. Attitude. Just look at your own. If you know what your attitudes are, just look at your attitudes about life in general, and that'll tell you why you're where you are, doing what you're doing, having what you're having, being what you're being. And even if you're not religious, you're a thinking, feeling being. Thinking, feeling what? That's our only question, isn't it?
Absolutely.
I mean, what are you thinking? That's what you are. That's what you do. That's what you be. And you can't get around it, so you might as well take a look at it. Believe me. You'll if it took you 40 years, like it does with me, if it took you 40 years, you would be thankful to God that you did it. You would not be concerned about any time limit, because it stops time. It literally does stop time. It's just another illusion. This is all a dream. And even when you seem to escape from the body and be in other places, it's still all a dream. You see, because there's only God. That's all there is. That's the only power. So if you're operating any power, that's what you're operating, because there's only one. You have to sit still sometime and think about this. I mean, actually, the best thing to do is to be it in imagination, in the theater of your mind, be and do what you actually really want to do. And then every time it comes up, add details to it. Many details, because that's dressing your world. See, you're adding these details that's dressing your world, and that's what you're told to do, to dress your world. And of course, you're going to dress it. You're going to dress it like you like it. I hope. I mean, I hope you have a dream. I really do, because if you don't got no dream, you're just floating around, and you can bump into anything because you're not paying attention. And that's what you need to do, is to pay it. What has your attention has your life. Has it for a minute? Okay, a minute. If you just drop it, fine. But if you do drop something, see that it's dropped. I mean, because you see, if it keeps popping up again, it'll get your attention again. That's what all that hollering and screaming is about, is getting your attention. Because what has your attention has your life. And especially if they're selling something, boy, they're good at screaming at you. Oh, they'll have loud music and everything going, and you. But it works.
It works.
And if they can work you, why can't you?
Yeah.
Why can't you work you? They can work you. I know you can work you. All they're doing is just taking over your lazy process. That's all. Believe me, you can win if you understand your thinking makes it so.